Welcome to the introduction to Redbridge Send Advisory and Training Service, also known as SENDATS. On the agenda today, we will discuss who we are, what we do, and who we work with. Here you can see the SENDATS ethos, working together with a range of professionals, the child always at the centre and excellence at its heart. The SEND Advisory and Training Service is an advisory service that empowers schools and settings to meet the needs of their children and young people. It is a service that is flexible and responds to the changing needs of the pupils and the schools and settings. SENDATS is a positive, proactive, problem-solving service that provides a personalised response to each young person's ever-changing or developing needs. It is also a service that works with pupils with EHCPs and those at SEND support, those who may have short-term challenges, as well as those who have lifelong needs. SENDATS is a service that supports parents to understand and celebrate their child for who they are, a service that involves parents in everything that we do. We are a service that respects and involves all other professionals involved with the child. We are also a service that acts as an advocate or voice for children and young people who are unable to make themselves heard. SENDATS is a service that offers training to professionals, schools, settings and families. The SENDATS values. We are a service committed to providing high quality, innovative training and developing SEND knowledge across our community and beyond. We are a service that constantly strives to improve, learn, develop and evolve, and a service that never stands still. SENDATS is a service that values each team member and the experience they bring, and it is also a service that supports children and young people that are unable to attend school through home tuition. Moving on now to what we do. The SENDATS service supports statutory and non-statutory children from 0 to 25, but the 0 to 4 cohort is only open to the sensory team. The statutory support is led by the EHC allocation for specialist teachers. All other pupils transition to SENDATS in Year 1 following a formal transition from the early years team. Every school receives an allocation of support from each team dependent on the size of the school, the number of referrals received and the level of need. The support is coordinated in the schools by a link manager who arranges team around the school meetings and holds twice yearly planning meetings with each school to agree priorities and support to ensure a personalised offer. The service works both across home and school, with every visit recorded on a support log and shared with schools and families. SENDATS is made up of 5 teams. There is a cognition and learning team, a sensory and physical disability team, a social communication and autism team, a training and special projects team, and a home tuition team. You can now see the structure of the SENDATS service. We have a head of service, and then each of the teams has a deputy head. And working alongside that deputy head of each teams, there is a senior teacher. Then within each one of the teams, there are specialist advisory teachers who have specialist knowledge within the area for the team in which they work. We also have technicians who are able to support a range of needs. We have HILTers, higher level teaching assistants, who also work with the senior teachers and advisory teachers. The HILTers also provide exceptional support within schools. And we have a senior business support manager who works with the business support assistants across all teams, and they all support the strategic management of the SENDATS service. I'd now like to explain the referral process for SENDATS. So the first step in the process is that a referral needs to be made using a SPA form. The SPA form allows referrals for both support in schools for children, home tuition support, exceptional support. The SPA form is also available for referrals for training. The referrals are collated, and there is a weekly triage meeting where senior members of the SENDATS team assess the referrals. They are then allocated to advisory teachers who come up with a relevant plan. This then starts either an initial assessment or the initial assessment or initial visit. The specialist advisory teacher will complete a number of things. They will speak with parents, they will speak with the child, they will speak with the SENCO and the teachers at the school. The specialist advisory teacher will then complete a report which will be sent to the school, including a decision on the support that should be available for the child. Advisory support work then begins, which includes continuous modelling and monitoring. This makes sure that the work is appropriate and the support is appropriate for the child and their needs as they develop. We would now like to introduce the SENDATS teams. The first team that we would like to introduce is the Cognition and Learning team. This is led by the Deputy Head of Service, Linda, who is supported by the senior teacher, also called Linda. This team works with children with varying needs that have an impact on reading, writing, language and processing. They complete assessments, they review diagnostic reports from other services, they support schools to implement strategies that have been suggested. They also write up reports, including the strategies that are suggested to support the children, and they will model the suggested strategies in school, monitor the impact that those strategies are having, and provide staff training for the staff who are working with the child. Some of the teachers with a specialism in cognition and learning run an SPLD dyslexia project. As part of this project, schools identify pupils in year groups who are experiencing literacy or language difficulties. They complete an audit to identify areas that can be developed. The teachers gather pupil voice. They then take on fortnightly planning sessions and weekly team teaching sessions within the school with the teachers. As you can see, the feedback for the SPLD dyslexia project has been fantastic. Additionally, some of our cognition and learning specialist advisory teachers ran an adaptive teaching course for professionals. This course is in 6 parts. They look at current data and research in regards to adaptive teaching, and they then support schools to implement strategies that can support all students to access learning. Moving on, we have the Autism and Social Communication team. This team is led by our Deputy Head of Service, Kerry, and she is supported by our senior teachers, Dion and Eugenie. There are 21 advisory autism and social communication specialist teachers across SENDATS, and the work that they do is informed by the AET, Autism Education Trust, and SERTS. Currently, the Autism and Social Communication team are focusing on a number of areas. They are focusing on the shifts in supporting needs for schools, on developing the SERTS approach in schools, developing a SENDATS offer available to ARPs, and they're also focusing on training events and coffee mornings in collaboration with Redbridge Education and Inclusion Service colleagues. As mentioned, one of the focuses is developing the SERTS approach within schools. Here you can see the objectives and the key areas for development in relation to developing the SERTS approach within schools in Redbridge. As you can see, the aims are to embed SERTS into our core advisory service offer and to also use SERTS as a framework for assessments and interventions. The key areas for development within this are to incorporate aspects of the SERTS assessment tools into observations and planning, and to also support schools in using the SERTS language and domains to meet EHCP and IEP targets. There are a number of highly trained, higher level teaching assistant or HILTA members of staff working within this team. Here you can see an explanation of the HILTA support role. The HILTA will support the work of the advisory teacher. They also support transitions, as well as supporting children at risk of permanent exclusion. They are also mainstream LSA, Learning Support Assistant, and higher level teaching assistant trained. These are just some of the fantastic testimonials and feedback that we have received for the specialist advisory teachers and HILTers within the Autism and Social Communication team. Moving on now to our sensory and physical disability team. This team is led by our Deputy Head of Service, Alison, who is supported by our senior teacher, Emma. The sensory PD team is made up of qualified teachers of deaf children and young people who liaise with audiology and CI teams, qualified teachers of children and young people with vision impairment, QTVI, qualified teacher of multisensory impairment, QTMSI. Advisory teachers for physical disability and medical needs liaise with a number of medical professionals, occupational therapy, physio, incontinence, nurse, etc., to support schools to navigate and implement advice. There is also an audiology technician, and there is a habilitation specialist working with children and young people with visual impairment needs to support the development of mobility and independence. The team work across settings in the home, in preschools and nurseries, in primary and secondary schools, special schools. They are also commissioned in independent schools and colleges. They carry out specialist assessments to inform the work and advice that they give, ensuring equitable access to learning. They support children and young people to become self-advocates. The sensory and physical disability team offer Braille lessons where they are needed. They also support families with language development, communication, supporting informed choice for communication choices and school choices. Our QTVIs offer training on cerebral visual impairment, a condition where brain difficulty processing visual information, even though the eyes themselves might be functioning normally. CVI is often seen in children with complex medical needs or learning disabilities. QTVIs also do question and answer sessions with families. Our deaf support team offer deaf awareness and deaf-friendly teaching strategies. They assess the impact of deafness on access to the curriculum. They use specialist educational technology, such as the Roger touchscreen, Signfield systems, introduction to signing. They also offer parent question and answer sessions. They attend the picnic in the park, in Valentine's Park in the summer, and a whole range of support to schools and families. The PD team also deliver training in schools and are currently trialling a PD ambassador scheme, upskilling staff in schools. They also offer training in the evenings for things such as puberty. These training sessions have been very well received by families. Our habilitation specialist delivers training in school for staff, such as the sighted guide training in the picture. The tech team also support children and young people in schools and colleges. They supply specialist equipment for deaf and visually impaired children to support their learning. They train staff on how to use the equipment. They provide communication support through the use of AAC or apps, and they also work with medical professionals. The SEMH team is actually embedded across all teams, with members of staff from all teams having SEMH specialist training. SEMH teachers offer training for all school staff. They work directly on a one-to-one basis with students. They conduct group work. They offer training for parents and carers. They model strategies and the use of language. They can also offer bespoke whole school SEMH training. They conduct collaborative work with outside agencies. The SEMH staff cover wider SEMH knowledge and strategies for school staff and parents. They cover the importance of language and relationships, trauma-informed approaches, trauma, SEMH and the neuroscience, the impact of ACEs on a young person's experience in the classroom, and the why behind behaviour. SEMH staff also have a joint SEMH project with the mental health support team. This project is bespoke to individual school needs and is underpinned by research and evidence-based practice. An action plan is created to empower the school to develop and embed their SEMH and wellbeing practices over time for the whole community. This project has been successfully piloted in Redbridge with positive outcomes and impact. SENDATS recognises the significant impact that transitions can have on children and young people. We support children and young people to cope with the challenges they bring in day-to-day life and at these particular times. These can be transitions between mainstream schools and alternative provisions and back again. They can be transitions between the early years SEND team to the SENDATS service and the transition from Year 6 to Year 7. Now we would like to introduce the SENDATS home tuition team. This team is led by the Deputy Head of Service, Karen Walsh-Saunders, and she is supported by the Senior Teacher, Stephen. The home tuition team currently support pupils who have been PECSed within 6 days. They support children with complex needs who may be awaiting a specialist placement. They also support pupils with evidence of medical needs, students who are unable to attend school due to emotional-based school avoidance, EBSA, and mental health needs. The goal of the home tuition team is to ensure that all pupils that are referred to their team are enabled to work towards the transition back to school if and when this is appropriate. The home tuition team service is developing a curriculum that is based on core subjects and enrichment opportunities, providing a complementary learning experience. The home tuition team is made up of a number of highly skilled advisory teachers, tutors, and higher level teaching assistants or HILTers. Next, we have the SENDATS Training and Special Projects team. This team is led by Melanie Hall, the Deputy Head, and who is supported by the Senior Teacher, Tanielle. This team develop and deliver courses relevant to today's classroom. They prepare online and in-person training packages for schools. They deliver projects and training to schools both within the Redbridge Borough and also out of borough to other local authorities. The Training and Special Projects team, or TASP team, collaborate with services, companies and out-of-borough schools to deliver training on neurodiversity and inclusion. And the TASP team also coordinate the in-borough Redbridge SENCO forums. The training titles that the TASP team offer are divided into the 4 broad areas of need stated in the SEND Code of Practice. On the screen in front of you, you can see the SENDATS training brochure, which shows all of the training packages that are currently available. This training brochure can be downloaded from the SENDATS link tree. Members of the TASP team deliver training in schools and online on a very regular basis. As you can see by the testimonials that they have received, the training is always very well received and gets excellent feedback. Part of the focus of the TASP team is on working with parents. Our role includes working in partnerships with parents, carers and families. Alongside schools, we will aim to be a source of support and advice to enable children to reach their full potential. Our service offers written reports, remote video links and training sessions to schools and parents. SENDATS teachers can attend progress and annual review meetings. The task team also launched 3 in-person events this year. These were very well received and very popular. Throughout the year, SENDATS offer a range of online parent training titles. As you can see, there are a range of subjects covered, from understanding ADHD to spotlights on specific interventions such as colourful semantics or sensory circuits. All of these training titles are available to book on Eventbrite, and the link for this collection can be found on our Linktree page. It's very important to us that our service is supportive to parents, carers and families, and that the training that we offer is useful and beneficial. As you can see, we also get wonderful feedback from the parents that attend both our virtual training and our in-person events. SENDATS work with schools. SENDATS can offer an APTGO audit in schools. APTGO is a sector-leading audit and planning tool for implementing a cyclical process to evaluate and improve SEND provision in schools. It engages teams across the school in discussion about SEND policy and practice. APTGO benchmarks current practice and provision against 36 school improvement areas linked to the current Ofsted inspection judgments. It creates a comprehensive action plan, appropriate timeframe, and a cyclical process for review. Using APTGO can achieve a high level of confidence about SEND policy and practice in preparation for or in response to inspection. SENDATS can offer support using APTGO and the APTGO audit. The TASP team from SENDATS are always available for consultation calls. You can book a free consultation call to discuss your school's needs and the training that we are able to provide. We also have out-of-borough schools booked for the upcoming term, where we will be completing bespoke audits and then offering specialist training packages. We are frequently asked where you can find us. Most commonly, our staff are found in schools working with children. However, you can find the Redbridge SEND Advisory and Training Service, SENDATS, on our Linktree page, which is shown on the screen. This page contains all of the information discussed today. It contains links to our training brochure and also the virtual training that is available online. Thank you for learning more about the SENDATS service.